Okay, after configuring the basic rule, we will start to configure attendance shift. It includes break timetable, and shift. Here we have two scenarios for workshop. There are two types of shifts. First one, normal shift is usually used for the attendance with a fixed schedule. Like the engineer in this demo, he should check in before the start work time, 8 o'clock in the morning, and check out after end work time, 18 o'clock. Otherwise, his attendance status will be late, early leave, or absent. And flexible shift is usually for the attendance with flexible schedule. Like the salesman in this demo, he is not required of a strict check-in time and check-out time, and only requires that the employee's work hours are longer than the minimum work hours, 6 hours, and check-in and check-out valid duration is between 8 o'clock and 20 o'clock. Now let's learn how to configure the attendance shift for these two scenarios. Firstly, we need to configure a break timetable. Break timetables define the start and end time of breaks and the calculation methods of break duration. You can create break timetables in advance and use them as templates when configuring break time in a timetable. For normal shift, usually break duration is also fixed. Like in our workshop, the break time is fixed between 12 o'clock to 13 o'clock. Therefore, we cite start time and end time as 12 o'clock and 13 o'clock. And the break duration calculation mode is chosen as period. And the actual break start and end time of persons will only be recorded but not be used to calculate the duration of breaks. Click Add. And for flexible shift in workshop, employees are required to check out and check in before and after the break. Thus, firstly set the start time and end time as 11 o'clock and 13 o'clock, and cite the earliest allowable start time and latest allowable end time. If a person checks in or checks out outside the allowable duration, the break time will be recorded wrongly. Then select calculation mode as master check. In count early or late return, you need to choose to count early or late return time by duration or by time point. In by duration mode, when the actual break duration end time minus start time is shorter than or longer than the specified duration, it will be counted as early or late return. And in by time point mode, when the actual return time is earlier than or later than the specified end time, it will be counted as early or late return. You also need to cite the threshold and the attendance status for the early or late return time. For example, if back from the break early for 10 minutes, the attendance status will be overtime and calculated with OT1 level. And if back from the break late for 10 minutes, the attendance status will be late. Then we need to configure timetable. In timetable, we can cite basic settings, including the scheduled work time, minimum work hours, and etc. As we introduced before, there are two types of shifts: normal shift and flexible shift. Their timetable settings are also different. Let us start with normal shift. In our workshop, work time is 8 o'clock to 18 o'clock. So we set the scheduled work time as 8 o'clock to 18 o'clock. And if the employee does not check in during the valid check-in period, and the check-in will not be recorded, and attendance status will be absent or late depending on the absence sightings we cite in the attendance rule. It is allowed to cite the valid check-in period crossing days. Therefore, the time period can be more than 24 hours, and you also need to adjust the checkout period. For example, you can cite the start time to 8 o'clock on the previous day and cite the end time to 10 o'clock on the current day. It's similar for the valid checkout period. Then you can cite minimum work hours. Employees' work duration in one day must be longer than minimum work hours. Otherwise, attendance status will be absent. Then you can cite timetable a little flexible. The employees are allowed to arrive late or leave early for a specific period of time. For this mode, you need to cite allowable time for late and early leave. If an employee checks in or checks out within the period after the start work time or before the end work time, the attendance status will be normal. For example, if the start work time is set to 8 o'clock and the late allowable duration is 30 minutes, and the employee checks in at 8 and 15 minutes, the attendance status will be normal. Then we can cite the break period. Select the existing break timetable added before. And for attendance calculation and overtime sightings, if you do not enable them in the timetable, the attendance and overtime will be calculated based on the group, department, or global rule. However, if you enable them in timetable, it has higher priority than all these attendance rules. Okay, then for the flexible shift in our workshop, create a new timetable and select flexible shift here. Set the valid check-in and check-out period. If the employee does not check in or check out within the valid period, the check-in or check-out will not be recorded, and the attendance status will be late or absent. For our workshop, it should be from 8 o'clock to 20 o'clock. The minimum work hours is the key parameter for flexible shift. Employees' work duration in one day must be longer than the minimum work hours, otherwise the attendance status will be absent. So in our workshop, it should be 6 hours. The latest check-in time is optional. And if the actual check-in time is later than this time, the attendance status will be marked as late. And for break time, we need to select templates for the flexible shift. The next step is adding shift. Shift is the time arrangement for employees. Shifts can be assigned to employees to regulate their duties. Firstly, select repeating pattern. It can be weekly, daily, or monthly. For our workshop, these two scenarios are both weekly repeated. You can filter the shift type here. Select timetable and click on the table below to apply the timetable on each day. Switch on Configure Attendance during holidays and select holidays. You can add holiday here. So, on the holidays, the shift will not be effective. Click Save. After setting shift, you need to assign it to the department or persons or groups or add a temporary schedule so that it will calculate the attendance records for persons according to this schedule. Select effective period for this schedule and select the shift. You can check the shift setting here. And if you want to specify attendance checkpoint for this department, you can select some specified checkpoints here. Otherwise, all attendance checkpoints will be selected. And you also can configure the shift schedule for an attendance group. Or to a person. So the schedule is used to specify the persons and the effective periods during which the persons perform their duties following the attendance rule. You can also add a temporary schedule for a person, and the person will be assigned with a schedule temporarily. Select person and select the timetable. Just simply click this timetable on the calendar. Okay, and then the schedule overview shows the schedule information of each person in the department. You can also view the detailed schedule of one person for each day in 1 month. The next step for attendance configuration is configuring calculation mode of attendance results. You can set attendance calculation mode as manual calculation or auto calculation. You need to set an auto calculation time so that platform will calculate attendance results for all persons at a specific time every day. Then, if department or schedule changes or abnormal attendance records are handled, you can recalculate the attendance results according to the latest data by triggering the manual calculation. After recalculation, the original results will be replaced by new attendance results. And there are also many basic settings have effect on the attendance results. Click Basic Configuration, and you can add pay codes, edit fixed codes, set storage location, and customize attendance status here. Firstly, specify attendance checkpoints. By default, all devices are attendance checkpoints. You can specify some access points for attendance check. And select type of attendance checkpoint for check-in and check-out, or check-in only or check-out only, so that the check-in or check-out by credentials such as swiping card on access points card reader will be valid. You can add a pay code. Pay code defines the attendance status and calculation codes for calculating attendance statistics on the third-party system. You can add, edit, and delete pay codes. Select the type, overtime or leave. And you also can configure the holiday settings, report settings, leave rule, and the storage settings. And for some employees or companies, it may not be feasible to check in and check out at fixed access devices. Then they can use mobile attendance, which supports employees to check in and check out on the mobile client. In order to make mobile attendance work, firstly, set up geofencing in a visualized way on Google Map. Go to Basic Configuration and check in or check out via mobile client. Enable Map. and input key for Google Map and click OK. Then you can search company's location or field location and draw valid scope here. And find the location and draw the valid scope. It could be circle or polygon. And configure the distance. Then only when employee's location is in this valid scope, he or she can check in or check out. You can cite at most 500 geofencing areas. And in the advanced settings, you can require employee to take photo on a mobile client and select whether you want supervisor to review employee's application of mobile check-in or check-out note. I will introduce how to cite approval flow later. And in addition, person needs to have permission to check in and check out on mobile client. Click the person. Firstly, this person should be allowed to log in to self-service. And then in schedule, enable allow check-in and check-out via mobile client for this employee.